I have a package from my channel. These ones are always a little bit of a bitch to open. But we're gonna do our best. Because the thing is it doesn't have one of those like tab things to open it. But we will get there. Maybe. So it's like again, like it doesn't have one of those tab things. So it's like I can't really well get it. Oh, that's so sticky. I know exactly what this is. We set it right up here. I thought the box is Magic Knight Rayearth Part 2, Volume 3. I had to buy this through the rental website, through the app, because it was not letting me, like, not that it wasn't letting me, but it was not at any of my local Barnes & Nobles. So, like, I had to get it through the website, one, because it would add to my Barnes & Noble rewards, my stamps, and two, it's right here. This is part 1, volumes 1, 2, 3, part 1, part 2, but we now finally have the full complete series. It looks so nice. So nice. Guys. Okay. I'm trying to like set this up in a way that looks like this, that I can now do the reading vlog. There we go. Oh my god. Anyway, I can now do the reading vlog. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, I did have to do my introduction slightly differently because the unboxing part will be included in my book buying plan video for May through June, and also this. So, look how pretty this looks. Okay, so we're doing the read through series read through, and this is before the remake is predicted to come out in October. So I'm really excited for that. And I have my very pretty, I don't know if you can see it very well. Technically I'm standing in front of it, so I have my 25th anniversary editions on the second shelf. I did do some more reorganizing. You know what I'll do is once I finish up a volume, I'll have the 25th anniversary edition of that volume to be up here, and the box for the box sets, I'll have that up here, as well as the whichever volume I'm talking. I think that will be good, but we are going to get started on this reading vlog because it's kind of frustrating, because we had the initial publication. I don't know if it was the initial publication of these, but the older publication of Magic Knight Rayearth, where it was like the slightly thicker volumes, and with like the yellow spine, like it had the same colors, but it's like slightly thicker than this, maybe like that, a little bit shorter, and then yellow spines, like yellow gold spines. I had this. We let a neighbor's daughter borrow it, and then she either gifted it away, like we said, like, hey, we need to return this to us. We told her. She either gave it to her friend or sold it to the friend, and it's like, what the fuck? So, and it's like, part of it is like, I do kind of want to partly explain that away as like, oh, she was on the younger side, maybe not fully knowledgeable of book etiquette. Because there have been times, one of my friends gave me a book, I think for Christmas or something, and said like, "Hey, if you want to read this, that's perfectly fine." But she had given me that book as a gift for Christmas, and I've done the same to her as well as some others. Where it's like, this is a gift, but we never gave her that. One, we never gave her that stipulation, and two, the stipulation was like, "Hey, we're lending these to you. You're borrowing them. We expect them to be returned." So that, among other things, made us like kind of dip out of that friendship. And like they're younger. They're younger. I think the older girl. There's two girls. The older girl is now probably 16, I think. So yeah, it's like probably not super into like super knowledgeable about book etiquette, but that's like kind of no excuse because when someone told you like, "Hey, we expect these back. This isn't a gift. We're lending you these." There's kind of that expectation of yeah, return. Anyway, I have, and that's also partly why I was on the hunt for getting these. So anyway, we are going to get started on the reading vlog, starting with volume 1. And at this point, just for seamlessness for myself at least, I am just going to sorry, I'm just gonna update you at the end of each volume. Again, just to make it seamless rather than updating in the middle, unless there's something like really I know the story like the back of my fucking hand, so it's like there's not really much that I would react to, which is why I'm saying I'll just update you guys at the end of the volume. So like volume 1, once I'm done with it, volume 2, volume 3, 4, 5, and 6. So yeah. But I finally get to read my babies, and I'm super happy. And I'm super excited for the remake because like we have to wait until October, but hopefully like the projected is that it will be released in October, so hopefully they're on track for that because my precious babies. But I'll see you all when I have an update. Okay, so I have finished volume 1 and really enjoyed it. When I initially read it, or not initially, when I read it recently-ish, I think last year sometime, I think I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which I think is where my review stands for this. And honestly, like, it's not that it's a bad series. I do think parts of it could be better. And also, while we're here, I'm not going to keep this spoiler free. I'm going to try not to actively talk about spoilers, but I'm also not going to avoid talking about them if I feel like I need to. One, because the series has been out for so long. Let me see. It should be. Yeah, because this was first published in 2002. So, yeah, it's been out for, oh boy, it's been out for 20. Well, 25th anniversary. So, like 2000. Anyway, it's been out for at least 25 years, give or take. We have the 25th anniversary editions. I said I was going to show those ones. One minute. Okay, so I did a couple different ways. This is the best that we can do. And like I said, I'm not going to actively talk about spoilers, but I'm not going to actively avoid them either. So, like in this case, volume 1 of the series as a whole, it's kind of hard to be spoilery with a volume this short, first off, in the first volume of the series. So in this, we start off with Hikaru Uminfu being summoned to Saphira to save the world, and they're kind of told the works like, "Hey, you've been summoned as magic knights. You need to save Saphira. You can't go back to your home until you do so." And they meet Clef, they meet Presea, they meet Makona, and at the end of it is where they meet Feria. So that's kind of where we're at with in the series. They've just met Feria, and honestly, like it's a really good introduction. And I think Knight Rayearth is a very good introduction to like anime and manga, even though the old anime, even though it's kind of dated. I think it's still a good introduction because it's easy. It doesn't take a lot of energy into figuring out what's going on and to figure out who's who. There is a little bit of a twist at the end of part 1, season 1 of the anime. There's a little bit of a twist, but I did like it's meant as a twist. I don't know how like twisty it actually is. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that grand or that big of a twist, but considering everything, it's like, and when you're first reading it, it's like, oh my god, I should have seen that coming. But my reread with it this year was amazing. I'll keep saying this throughout this video, but I cannot wait for the remake to happen. That's why we're doing the full reread, and I don't think I've done like a full reread of the full series before, because I think I only had this one, and then that's when I read part 1, and then I started building up this edition, and then I got this one. So I don't think I've done a full reread, which would be fun. I have. Okay, I did say reread. I have read the series before. Absolutely love it. But recently I haven't done a full reread. So we're at the point where they've just met Ferio. They're in the Force of Silence and they're trying to find a Scudo so that Persea can make their weapons that will grow as they grow along this journey. And honestly, like, these girls are my precious babies and I absolutely love them to death. And like, I don't necessarily need the remake to stay closely to the manga. I mean, that's kind of the point of doing an anime adaptation of a manga series, is that you're going to stay as close as possible within reason for an anime to the manga. I don't need them to stay like 100% true to the manga. It would be nice if certain aspects were true to the manga. I think I've mentioned this in some of my other videos on this topic. I have a Magic Knight Rayearth playlist where I have all my Magic Knight Rayearth related videos collected. So I think I've mentioned this in some of those videos where it's like, my biggest thing would, like, I'd be okay with dialogue updates, because, you know, that was like the main thing that was kind of dated with this. I want like the artwork of the time. I'm glad they're just cleaning it up and that they're not changing it and that they're staying true to the original artwork. And I wouldn't mind like a slight update to the dialogue as long as it stays true to the messaging. My biggest thing, which I believe I've mentioned, is in part 2 at the end. Eagle doesn't die at the end of this. Eagle was my baby from season 2, and I absolutely love him in part 2. And like, a large part of it, I think, is, for me, what really attracts is energy. And sometimes, like, even if it's not fully elaborated upon, especially if they're a side character, like, you can kind of tell what their energy is like from the little bit you get. And like, Eagle's energy, chef's kiss. Like, I love Eagle. He doesn't die in the manga, and that pissed me off. He's in a coma, and then like he wakes up eventually, but it's like, that pissed me off with the anime, because it's like, what the fuck, he doesn't die in the anime. So, and I could also do without Debonair and Nova. So we're gonna start on volume 2. Which is Umi, one of Umi's covers. We're starting on volume 2. These are going to be quick reads. This will probably be a quick reading vlog, but, and this is also kind of why I do want to do some other manga reading vlogs, but it's kind of why I'm trying to build up the series a little bit more, because otherwise it'll be like really short. So volume 2, this one's just going to be short because it's only 6 volumes, but we're moving on to volume 2 now. So I will let you know when I finished it. Okay, it's the same day. It's May 3rd, May 3rd. And I finished volume 2. And we started off with the meeting Ferio, finished off with Umi meeting Ceres and donning him. Honestly, like I said this one kind of quickly, I really enjoyed this one. We're getting to know the characters a bit more, we're getting to know the world a little bit more, we're getting to meet some more characters and get some really interesting interactions. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Because again, it's like, some of it's a little bit cheesy for the time, but like, it works, you know. So, and they're teenagers, you don't expect them to not be cheesy. So we're gonna move on to the final part of part 1, the final volume of part 1. So this will wrap up this first part of the whole story, the whole series. So we're getting somewhere, you guys. It makes me kind of sad, but it is what it is. So I realized I almost forgot to update you guys with Volume 3. I have finished it. I was just shadow. Jeez. I finished it, really enjoyed it. So basically, we started off with just after Umi get Umi downstairs, and then kind of gives Ascot a talking to, and then we get through Hikaru finding and donning Wyndham, and then, or no, through finding and donning Wyndham, and then Hikaru finding and donning Rayearth, and then a big battle where they defeat Sagato, but then realize that they have to take out Emerald, sadly. So, which, like, on the one hand, with like the anime, like, I appreciate that they were trying to handle the grief of having to do that when they thought of having to take down Emerald, when they thought that they were having to save her, when instead they were having to off her. Like, I appreciate the anime trying to handle that. I just think I appreciate the anime trying to handle that such a heavy topic, and trying to handle the grief and guilt surrounding that, especially regarding Hikaru, because Hikaru is kind of like the lead of the three girls, and she's the one with the strongest rune god. So it's like I appreciate that they tried to do it. I don't think that was the right way to go about it though, because like with I don't think that adding two new characters, Debonair and Nova, I don't think, especially Nova, who was like a fracture of Hikaru's soul, I don't think that that was the way to go about it, because like they weren't needed, and there are other ways to handle it. Being like, oh, your soul is fractured. There are other ways to handle it instead of just being like, oh, your soul is fractured when you kill someone, which arguably you could argue that yes, you lose a piece of yourself when you kill someone, but at the same time, it's like there's arguments of like whether or not it's for the better good. And like, this is a fantasy world, you know? It's like, but there are arguments of like whether or not it's for the greater good, questions of are we at war? Like, this wasn't really a war, but it's like they were trying to save a country that was crumbling. And the system that Saphira was based off of, with it all being on one person, that was not a healthy dynamic for that one person or for the rest of the people, because it's like you can't, if you're the pillar of Saphira, you can't fall in love. Like, you have to put everyone else first, and so it's like that's not healthy for that one person who is the pillar, and it's also not healthy for like the rest of the people, because it's like, oh, like there's that whole thing, but it's like there's a question of like, okay, what exactly is going on? But like, I don't think that having that kind of guilt and grief surrounding having to kill someone, and surrounding having to kill someone even for quote unquote good reasons, I don't think that was needed. I don't think that needed to be represented in the way that the anime represents it in season 2. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully that they, like, again, I don't mind that they handled it, because I think it's good to handle such heavy topics. I think part 2 of the manga, I'm pretty sure, from what I can recall, it does handle that in like a very subtle way. So it's like, it doesn't need to be handled in a way of like, oh, like I said, it doesn't need to be handled. Excuse me. Like I said, it doesn't need to be handled in a way of like, oh, your soul is fractured, because like there are extraneous circumstances where certain things, for self-preservation or for the preservation of people around you, or certain things are necessary. So I don't think where it's like you're going to have that guilt to begin with, and framing it as, this is getting deep into it, and I'm like, this is not the thing to get deep into, but at the same time, it's a good conversation over there. But you're gonna, like, if you have to kill someone, and you're still gonna have that guilt and that grief of having to kill someone, no matter what the situation was, unless you're like a sociopath or a psychopath or both. There's gonna be that guilt and that grief, and that can be handled and expressed better, I think. So if they want to express that, I hope that they do. I just hope that they don't do it the debonair and Nova route. So I finished volume 3, really enjoyed it, and now, because we're done with this, we are moving on to part 2. We are making headway, making progress. Again, like I mentioned, I think we're at like 15 minutes, 20 minutes already, maybe 25 minutes already for this reading vlog, which is a little bit of a surprise. But at the same time, thinking about it, I'm not surprised. It's just not going to be like some of my recent reading vlogs where we're getting closer to an hour. So, on to part 2. Okay, so it's the next day. It's May 5th. And I really just. This was an easy binge, though, but I read through all 3 volumes. And I was going to, like, update with each volume, but I was on a roll. Excuse me. I was really in a reading zone. So, I just figured get it all done with, and then I'll just do one big update. Because it's like, I would just kind of be repeating the same things that, like I had said at the end of part 1. And honestly, like, this series means so much to me. It's dated, mainly the dialogue's a little bit dated. And honestly, like, there's like the only thing with this is that their families, Hikaru and Umi's, or Hikaru's brothers, Umi's parents, and then Fu's sister, like, they do have a bit more of a role in this. Or they definitely have more of a role in this than they did in part 1. Because you see them. And they were very supportive of the main characters, which I think was definitely needed. And like I said earlier in this video, most likely earlier in this video, but in other Magic Knight Rayearth videos, but like I said, Eagle does not die at the end of the series. He was just in a coma, and they can go back and forth between the worlds. And when they go back, Hikaru checks on Eagle, and he's like, I'm recovering. He does not die. So I absolutely love this. This is all like 4.5 stars just because I am reading it at a different point in my life, but it's still very much one of my favorite series. It means a whole lot to me. So yeah, we're gonna put these back on the shelf. Because again, I did binge read it like yesterday, so I'm gonna put them back on the shelf. And then with all that said, that is the end of this reading vlog. It's kind of sad because it's like this is the first reading vlog that I can think of where, well, second one actually, because there's Heaven Fishes essay. With like, so the second reading vlog where I read a series to completion, even though I'd already read it before, at least with Magic Knight Rayearth. And it's like the first one where it's like it was a reread of something that I loved, and I still love it to this day. So I absolutely cannot wait for the remake, the revamp. And like I've said a few times already in this vlog and in the Magic Knight Rayearth series as a whole, I wouldn't mind them updating the dialogue. I don't need Nova and Debonair like I mentioned earlier before this update. And Eagle, my boy, needs to stay alive. Like that, like I'll be upset if they keep that from the anime. Like if they can, I'll be upset about that because it's like you just need to stay true to the manga. Like it doesn't need to be exact. Update the dialogue a little bit, flesh out the characters and some of the scenes a little bit more. But you do not need to kill a character who did not die in the original manga. So that is it. Thank you all for watching. If you made it this far in the video, let me know what your first manga was that you recall reading. Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.